Hey, it's Jonathan McGinley, a Maxwell certified coach, speaker, and trainer, and the founder of Intentional Man, a company that exists to give Christian men the tools, community, and coaching to pursue God-sized goals, to live intentionally, and to build lives of significance. Have you ever set a goal and then killed yourself to get it, didn't really enjoy any part of it, and then once you actually got it, then you just set the next goal without taking any time to celebrate? Have you ever done that before? Or maybe sometimes you find yourself always focused on just the next thing. Like when I just get married, then I'll be happy. Or when I get that promotion, then I'll be happy. When I just get the perfect body, then I'll actually be proud of myself. And you find yourself in that grass is always greener on the other side mentality, right? And I'm sure you can identify with some of those statements, or you at least know someone who always seems to have this kind of mindset. And I remember a couple that I met who always seemed to be like this. When I first met them, they were engaged, and everything was all about the wedding and how happy they were going to be when they finally got married. And once they got married, the next thing for them was we can't be happy until we get a house. But once we buy the house, then we'll be happy. And then after they got the house, then it's all about having the baby. Once they have the baby, then they'll be happy. And then after the first baby, it's the second baby, and so on and so on. And the conversations I had with the guy, they were always focused on just how bad things were in the current situation, but how good they were going to be when they hit that next step. And it would oftentimes just frustrate me when I would have those conversations with him. But if I'm being fully honest, like I actually do the same things in my life, even if it may look a little different, even if it may not be quite as drastic, I totally can fall into this trap oftentimes. In a world that's full of goal setting and comparison and always wanting to keep up with the people around us, it's really easy to fall into this trap, right? And when I was in 7th grade, I was thinking about this. I started to play the drums. And I think I just started playing the drums because people in my class were starting to do it, and they were starting to play instruments for the band. And so I wanted to fit in. So I just started playing the drums. And I got pretty serious the next year in about 8th grade, started learning, getting better, started practicing more and more, got to the point where I could actually start playing on Sundays at my church. In the summer between 8th and 9th grade, I went to a youth conference in Colorado Springs, Colorado. And there was a moment in worship at this conference where I encountered God in a real way for the first time. I grew up in a Christian home. I knew a lot about God, but this was the first time where he really became real to me. And I knew in that moment that I wanted to use the drums to help create more of those moments for other people in the future. It was like God told me in that moment, like, this is why you started playing the drums, for these kind of moments, for these kind of experiences. This is what I want you to be about. And so that moment, it kind of kicked off a passion for me for worship drumming. And I devoted a ton of my time and energy to get better and better. And as I did this, I always had a dream to be part of a team that wrote worship songs and recorded music. And I had attended some live album recordings in there of some other worship bands. And I always dreamed of doing it, always dreamed of being a part of a live album recording. And since that time, I've actually had the amazing privilege to record 7 albums with some of my best friends. And 3 of those have been live albums. I've been able to play for some other conferences and be a part of some other friends' projects where I've recorded drums. It's truly been an amazing experience. But here's the sad part, and this is what I want to talk about today. A lot of this experience has actually been robbed by not allowing myself to fully just enjoy the process, by not allowing myself to be grateful for every single opportunity. And there's been too much comparison to other worship bands that get more listens or get more views. And some of these things have made what I'm doing feel less significant to me than they really are. Can you relate to that in some way? Can you think of something that you've experienced or done where you didn't allow yourself to fully enjoy it because it wasn't as big or as significant as you thought? Or maybe because you were comparing yourself to other people who are ahead of you? Like, I'm sure you can think of those moments. And this past week, we actually did a live recording of a new album here in Fort Collins, Colorado, at the Colorado House of Prayer. And God he just wrecked me in this moment in one of these songs in this exact area. So we made this a full worship night. We were going to record 5 new original songs, mixed in some other popular worship songs. And we were singing the song Gratitude by Brandon Lake. I'm sure most of you have heard this song. If not, definitely check it out. It's an amazing song. And I'm playing the drums on this song, and we're building through the bridge, and we hit the last chorus. We hit it really big. It's one final, like the biggest part of the song. I hit it. Right when we hit the chorus, the lights kind of changed, and it lit up the crowd. Lights up the whole crowd. And from my vantage point, I'm looking out. And it was just one of the most amazing scenes from where I was. The whole crowd kind of lights up. And I think almost every single person in the room had their hands raised, and they were just worshiping Jesus with everything they had. And God just absolutely wrecked me in this moment. I had this overwhelming sense of gratitude to just be in that moment. And he brought me back to the time when I was 15 years old and I was wanting to play drums, to be in those exact moments. So all the times I dreamed of doing live recordings and making worship music that helped people encounter the love of Jesus. I was doing the very thing I had always dreamed of doing. And in that moment, God made it crystal clear to me that I was living my dream. And it was just one of the most powerful experiences that I've had leading worship recently. But then it made me reflect, literally as we're playing the song, these pictures are flashing through of, when I was dreaming of doing this. But then it made me reflect and realize I have actually been living that dream for the last 15 years, but I haven't let myself fully enjoy it. I've been more focused on results or comparison, that I haven't just fully enjoyed each moment and been grateful the whole time. All of those worship nights that I've done where there was barely anyone there, that was still living the dream. The songs that we've released that didn't have many plays, that didn't really catch on, that was still living the dream. The late nights, working on songs, putting them together, arranging them, putting together drum parts, thinking about it, practicing, that was living the dream. The live album recordings, that was living the dream. And I want to challenge you today to think about your life and take time to stop and just be grateful for where you are. Take time today to thank God for everything you have been able to be a part of. Thank God for how far he has brought you. Thank God for giving you opportunities to do the things that you enjoy. We're oftentimes so focused on some future result that we just neglect the present. And we get so focused on the goals we want to hit, the dreams we want to accomplish, or the comparison of other people that we don't realize we're living the dream right now. Getting to be alive, having purpose, having a relationship with God, having people around us who care for us, that is the dream. Getting to be alive and to be healthy and to pursue our passions, that is the dream. Running into setbacks and pushing through, that's the dream. Learning and growing each day and pursuing your full potential, that is the dream. And I don't want to be someone who gets through life and was always chasing the next thing. Gets through life and realizes I didn't enjoy all the small moments because I was so focused on the next pursuit. And I believe that you don't want that either. So even if you, right now, even if you're not where you want to be, you can still learn to enjoy the process of growing. You can learn to enjoy the day-to-day of just being alive and being in relationship with God. If you can't learn to be happy and grateful in your current situation, what makes you think you're going to be able to do that in the future? Most likely, you're living part of your dream right now, but you just have not taken the time to acknowledge it. And if that's the case, you're most likely not going to just all of a sudden be happy and grateful when you do achieve the next part. And that moment in worship this past week was just so eye-opening for me. There are multiple parts of my life right now that are absolutely what I dreamed about years ago. And I just haven't taken the time to acknowledge and appreciate it. So as I've taken time to reflect on that moment, that powerful moment that I just had this week, I just wanted to give you 4 practical ways to start enjoying the process, living in the moment, and just not missing out on the things that you should be grateful for right now. So let's jump in. So number 1, you need to start having regular times of reflection. Times of reflection. As men, this is a hard one, right? We don't naturally take the time to just stop and reflect on our lives. We want to just go, go, go. We typically don't love to sit and reflect. So this one actually does take some intentionality. You need to be proactive to develop a lifestyle of reflection. In his book, The 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth, John Maxwell, he introduces the law of reflection. It's one of his 15 laws, and it just says that you must pause to allow growth to catch up to you. You must pause to allow growth to catch up to you. When we don't take time to stop, reflect on our lives, ask ourselves good questions, acknowledge the wins, identify things we're grateful for. We're not allowing ourselves to grow to the full. And people always say that experience is the best teacher. And of course, we do learn from experience. But John Maxwell, in this book, in this section, he suggests that actually evaluated experience is the best teacher. If you don't take the time to pull the lessons from your experiences, then you're not going to just automatically learn from it. So if you don't cultivate a habit of reflection, you're most likely going to get caught in the trap that we all do at some point. And that's the trap of only being focused on the future and not learning to be content right now. So I would recommend a daily reflection, either in the morning or at night, or you can do both, where you write things down that you're grateful for. You write down your wins for the day. You write down the things that you're looking forward to. You write down what God is teaching you, things along those lines where you actually take time to think about those things. And then I would also recommend a weekly reflection, and then a quarterly one and a yearly one. But cultivate some sort of rhythm where you're constantly taking time to pull away from life and just actually think about it. So for the daily, this doesn't have to be a super long time. I'm not talking about you have to spend, an hour every day journaling. Just give yourself 5 to 10 minutes a day to just cultivate gratitude and joy. And that can be a game changer. And it can protect us from doing what I did, where you coast through and you don't actually realize you're living the dream. You're doing things that you enjoy. It can protect us from not just enjoying the process. So times of reflection, huge one. Number 2, I've already mentioned this a few times, but you must stop comparing yourself to others. And Teddy Roosevelt, he said that comparison is the thief of joy. And I 100% agree with that statement. One of the greatest reasons that I failed to recognize that I was actually living in the middle of my dream was comparison to other worship artists, other worship bands, other drummers that are getting more listens, views. They're getting more people at their worship nights. And just because I had been to some live recordings that had thousands of people in the crowd, I felt like that, when I got there, that was the accomplishment of the dream. And not actually just doing the live recording is the accomplishment of the dream. But think about your life right now. Think about it right now. Is comparison to others who are ahead of you robbing you from being grateful for where you are now? Do you feel like what you're doing isn't significant because there are others who are doing it better? There are others who have more views. There are others who have more followers, more influence. You need to cut that thinking out of your life ASAP if you want to learn to enjoy the process, if you want to learn to enjoy the present, if you want to cultivate gratitude in your life. Instead of comparing yourself to others, this is one that's been huge for me. Don't compare yourself to others. Just compare yourself to your former self. So this can just be a fun way of looking at things. If I look back to all those tiny gigs that I played for where there was 5 people in the room, or if I honestly just look back at how bad at drums I was when I first started, or if I listen to our first album and compare that to where we are now, it's actually super encouraging. I can see that I've been growing and making progress and getting better. I can be so grateful now that I'm in a room with 300 people that are worshiping their hearts out and singing our songs when I compare it to where I was when I first began. But if I were to compare that experience to maybe when Hillsong does a live recording, they have thousands and thousands of people, it can become discouraging for me and then I don't enjoy it. So that's the key. It's all about perspective and it's all about what you're comparing to. If you're constantly comparing to others who are ahead of you or seem to have things that you don't, you're going to miss out on a lot of the great things that are happening right in front of you. But if you learn to compare yourself to what you used to be, then that usually gives you some gratitude for where you are in your situation. So that's the key. Stop comparing yourself to others. Compare yourself to your former self and just try to grow and then reflect and take time to kind of acknowledge those wins as you go. Okay, number 3, you must change your perspective on discomfort and failure. This is a big one. When it comes to failure, most people think that we must do everything that we can to avoid failure. And our brains are even trained to try and avoid discomfort and pain. So we usually set up our lives in a way that minimize it. And then when that happens, when you experience some sort of discomfort or you make a mistake, it's easy to get down on yourself and to stop doing what you were doing. And then that's oftentimes when you start comparing yourself to others, right? When you make a mistake, you look at somebody else and you feel like a failure because they didn't make that mistake, or it seems like they don't make that mistake. And for so long, I've viewed failure as such a negative thing. And it's caused me to be really passive because I just didn't want to mess up. So here's the shift in the mindset you must make. Experiencing some failures and making mistakes is not a sign of weakness. It's actually a sign that you're growing. It's a sign that you're progressing. It's a sign that you're pursuing something that is worth pursuing. Failure and discomfort are actually positives because it means that you're learning and growing. They're positives because it means that you're on the right path. And these are typically things that rob us of our joy. But if you change your perspective and learn to embrace them, then you can learn to enjoy the process so much more. Learn to embrace the small beginnings because everyone has to start there. Learn to embrace the mistakes because they're just stepping stones in your journey. Don't let them rob you of your joy. Don't let them knock you down. Don't let them make you compare yourself to others. Just view them as progress and enjoy the fact that you're on a path that's worth taking. And Kobe Bryant, he has a great quote on this. He says that those times when you get up early and you work hard, those times when you stay up late and you work hard, those times when you don't feel like working, you're too tired, you don't want to push yourself, but you do it anyway, that is actually the dream. That's the dream. It's not the destination. It's the journey. So good from Kobe. He viewed hard work as the dream. He viewed pushing through setbacks as the dream. He viewed waking up at 3 a.m. to work on his craft as the dream. He just had a different perspective. He knew that those things were helping him become a better basketball player, but more importantly, they're helping him become a better man. And so he learned to embrace them. If you spend all your time running away from those things, you're most likely not going to learn to enjoy the process. And you're most likely going to miss some amazing moments along the way. You'll also find that when you do reach that new level, it's not going to be that enjoyable either because that just comes with a new set of challenges and a new set of mistakes. So change your perspective on failure and discomfort, and you can change the way that you feel in your current situation. So that was step number 3. The last step, number 4. This is a fun one. Celebrate your wins with others. Have some guys or one other guy that you meet with consistently to celebrate your wins. And this forces you to think about the things that are going well. It teaches you to learn how to celebrate the wins of others too, instead of just comparing yourself to other people. So you're probably experiencing a ton of small victories consistently, but you don't feel the weight of them because you're not actually sharing them with other people and you're not celebrating them. There are multiple times when I push something difficult at work or in my life, and it should be celebrated. It should be acknowledged, but I just keep it to myself. And so I don't even realize that it was a big moment. But getting together with your friends to share wins, celebrate with each other is just a fun step that you can take to learn to enjoy the process and develop more gratitude and joy on a consistent basis. I have a group that I meet with every Thursday morning, and we always start with talking about what was our biggest wins of the week. And that's always fun because I like to be able to share those things and I like to hear what they have going on in their lives. And that's a big way to actually make sure that we're enjoying the process. So again, those 4 steps there to think about. Develop a lifestyle of reflection. Stop comparing yourself to others. Change your perspective on failure and discomfort, and then celebrate your wins with others. So if you can't do all 4 right now, that's okay. Just pick one of those and implement it. Just pick one and get started. Or maybe try all 4 if you think you can take that on. But let's be men that don't miss out on amazing opportunities in our lives because we're too focused on the future or too focused on comparing ourselves to others. You're living your dream more than you probably even realize. And you have so much to be grateful for. You have so much to live for right now in this current moment. So don't miss it. Don't let life fly without learning to enjoy the small things. Don't let your life fly by always focused on what's next instead of being grateful for what is in this current moment. Enjoy the process. Enjoy the day-to-day. Enjoy a daily relationship with God. Enjoy the amazing people that you have in your life. So thanks for joining me today. Go live a life you're proud of by living intentionally.